Today for Devotions with Daniella, we are reading White Women Get Ready, How Healing Post-Traumatic Mistress Syndrome Leads to Anti-Racist Change. This is something I'm working on for my own process of deconstructing the delusion of white supremacy, and if you'd like to join me, you can get copies here. This is called Up Close and Personal, and she has told both of her parents separately about child assault that she suffered as a child. I wonder what might have happened if the instances of child abuse in my home congregation had been handled differently. I wonder how things might have turned out if the church had reported his father to the authorities when the first adult found out. I wonder how things might have turned out if his father had actual, comprehensive, skilled support and accountability instead of a well-meaning yet unqualified pastoral team and a counselor who was rumored to have said he was cured. I wonder what could have been prevented if a known child abuser hadn't been allowed to continue as congregant, father, and husband, and help raise his children, often unsupervised, protected by the silences of his family, church, family, and friends. This section is all about silence in white supremacy and how it damages everyone. I wonder if I might have been encouraged to trust my gut, and if I might have been prepared to shout no at my friend the first time he had made me feel that way. I wonder how I might have felt empowered to do so if I had known about his dad's history at a younger age. I wonder if I might have told my parents the first time it happened, if celebrating bodily autonomy and saying no had been part of our weekly family devotions, instead of the lessons on purity, obedience, and devotion. In describing the psychological enmeshment of enslavement, Painter remarks on how the attachment and resentment that enslaved women often felt toward their mistresses for the abuses of their mistresses' husbands mirrors the bitterness and betrayal many sexually abused children feel toward their mothers and mother figures who were unable to and or didn't protect them from the abuse. Noting psychiatrist Judith Herman's work, Trauma and Recovery, so good. Painter writes, victims who do not display anger at their abusers may displace their rage onto non-abusing but impotent parental figures. Mothers. I have only recently been able to feel that sense of betrayal, to access my anger toward the church mothers who were supposed to protect us. My anger toward our mothers feels complicated. The church fathers' abandonment has always been clear to me. The church mothers' abandonment, less certain. Behind their silences, they were trying to protect us the best way they knew how. Perhaps I am more easily able to access compassion for our mothers, because I know what was done to me was also done to them. Identifying with my father's hardness is much more difficult. I am reluctant to see the many difficult parts of him as also parts of me. Within this fraught inquiry, I seem to keep returning to my fear. I keep coming back to how it is fear buttressed by shame and not some evildoer's hate that fuels these harmful dynamics. My father's fear of being soft, my mother's fear of being exposed, my fear of abandonment results in his hardness, her silence, my urge to flee. Perhaps I have been projecting my coping mechanisms onto others. Perhaps we all have. In its relative advantage, my whiteness has granted me the access to come and go as I please. I can run from the traumas, but I can't hide from their impact. Before I landed in Pittsburgh, I was tired of running. The summer before, I spent 4 consecutive months traveling, averaging 3 nights to a bed. When I was deciding on my next move, I knew I wanted to make a commitment to a place and a community. I knew I wanted to be more still. I knew the type of work I wanted to do necessitated strong relationships, and those would take time and commitment. Part of my healing from the multi-generational effects of mistress syndrome has meant disrupting my family's track record of running, if only for a season. Over the past decade, my commitment to putting down roots and staying, even when things got tough, gave me the opportunity to face myself and my lineage in incredible and scary ways. Since my first experience with yoga, I began practicing some type of seated meditation. Usually meditation happened during group classes or occasionally on my own when I was especially in need of a moment of calm. But deepening my meditation practice, I have been challenged to make a more consistent commitment, which has me wondering what a practice of sitting still could offer those of us who have become racialized as white. How might it help us to disrupt our flight patterns? How might it support white settlers to interrupt the temptation of what Linda Toohey Y. Smith calls the imperial imagination? Could it help us learn to be with our pain, our discomfort, our hurt feelings, and our fears? Could a practice of silence help us become less so? Could a practice of stillness better mobilize us toward justice? Moreover, could a practice of better seeing and being with myself help me better see and be with those I haven't chosen and with those whom I have? Could it help me feel and metabolize the pain? Could it help me access compassion for those who have hurt me? Could it help me move towards solidarity and not away? Could it help us to do the same? Next chapter is love and marriage.